Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with KISK, our Keep It Simple Circle marketing partners, we are here to help our Humongous AM and Humongous FM radio customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes Radio, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So join us to make the world a better place. Spread the word, tell a friend, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils. Take it away, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You are listening to us on the Building Fortunes Radio Network, but we are on the Kell.News radio show. We do this every Thursday around this time. For those people listening in, you've been here for a year plus a couple of months, and we've been talking about the Public Access Media Network project that Terry Kelliher has been working on, and it's so close. It's so close, making advances and just amazing as far as all that sort of stuff. And I'm kind of listening, and we're talking a little bit before the radio show, and we just said, you know what, let's get this started. But for those people that are unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingils. You're going to hear from Terry Kelliher. This has been an idea who's started literally decades ago, and as a result of a few starts and stops, and then now all of a sudden with AI, more of the affordability and the technology that can make it all happen, he's accumulating hundreds, if not thousands, of domain names into a community, the Public Access Media Network, and we're going to hear a little bit about it today. But when I first called Terry, it was just an idea that he just get started. He was working with a certain set of programmers, and we were talking about different things, and I said, no one's ever done anything like this, Terry. So the problem you're going to have is that if no one's ever done anything like this before, and that's not a cliche, that's real. If no one's ever done anything like this before, no one's going to know to even ask for it. So therefore, let's do some radio shows so people can hear your phone-friendly voice, and they can, gain a little bit of knowledge of what you're working on and kind of be part of the process too. People like to become part owners, if you will, or take ownership of, hey, I was part of that. Even though they don't own the product, I was part of that when we first got this thing started. So we're going to kind of do one more week of what it's like to be Terry Kelliher and the progress that's happening on the Public Access Media Network. Last week we talked about localtown.news being available for you to go and register, and today we're going to hear about some other stuff as well. So Terry, thanks for being here on your own radio show.
Well, thank you, Peter, for the introduction again. And for pushing me to do this, actually. It's been very beneficial to be able to get confident in delivering a message about the project. And as I'm getting closer to the launch, actually we're kind of doing a pre-launch in that we're showing things as we're going along and looking for feedback. It's quite an experience, and I have a feeling it's only going to get better. So I'm at a juncture now where we have the PAM site up, which is really the toolkit to founding members and those who are subscribed to the network to be able to use the content features of the chat and the groups and the bulletins and the calendar, the blog and vlog domains that we have to carve out niche topics and resources within the communities that we serve. It's at a juncture now where I'm making proposals to founding sponsors, and also the Chamber of Commerce, the libraries, and the communities that were beginning to do the beta, which is the 1st Congressional District of Connecticut. And I'm learning as I go what works and what doesn't. Life is a learning process, and unfortunately, we didn't learn everything. I didn't learn everything I needed to know to do this going into it. It's going to be an experience that's going to teach me all along the way, I'm sure. It's not always fun, Sometimes it's aggravating, but the end result is that, our mission is to serve community and make community better. And with AI and the functionality of the tools that I've assembled in these domains, and I get asked often, what do you need? You don't really need all these domains, and that's true. I don't. But if you don't, I came from a school that if you didn't have it in writing, it didn't exist. So really, if you don't own a tool and you don't have the brand for what that tool does, then you really don't have control of that tool's resource, full control of that tool's resources, like the community calendar news or a senior calendar news, where senior centers through senior center news or senior group news can find content and find resources within their community through the senior center, and giving them a place that's uniquely their own within the community to spread their information to the community and make it fully accessible. Peter's right. There's never been anything like this other than what a newspaper provided, or if a town has a site of its own, they may be able to do something similar, but they don't connect with the business community, the social fabric of the community, nor do they have the resources to keep up to date with everything that's going on, especially in this AI era. There are new tools and resources being built all the time, and we're doing some of that ourselves and making community, using the resources to make community better. So, we went through a period, I'm talking kind of fast, but we've gone through the period where AI was suspicious, that we were suspicious of AI in what it might do to our communities and to our jobs and to our livelihoods. The reality is it's going to create more opportunity, better community, better growth, and I see it as the next wave in a generation of technology resources that are going to make humanity once and for all a community of trust. Does that make sense to you, Pete?
It sure does. Well, it's a great communication tool. So you have different categories that you have as far as like different topics, whether it's sports or politics or religious or shopping or community services and all of these different things, and they're arranged by jurisdiction so you can find some local information, and you're talking about building up communities, and you're putting it all together, and people are going to be able to use it and be able to enhance, and I'm going to bring in the topic of maybe even save lives. So let me use as an example.
Wouldn't that be
saving
something?
lives. Yeah. Well, there's a tragic situation that just happened here in Florida, and you might have heard about it or not. But, in Florida, there's a lot of freshwater, brackish water, and a lot of alligators. So they're native here. They're protected species. And you could almost assure that if it's a big, you almost have to think through it. If there's a big place where there's fresh water, there might be an alligator somewhere around it, either living in it or traveling through it for mating purposes. And there was just a tragic situation where some hikers, I think there was a gal 31, was attacked and killed by a 13-foot alligator as she was taking a dip in some freshwater river mid-Florida. And, I don't know how to say it any other way. The dad, who basically was, obviously when you're reading the headlines, they do headlines in newspapers for a reason, but it's like, the state should really do more to let people be aware of the challenges associated with wildlife. And, some people are saying, we should be killing all the alligators. And the answer is there, it's really a communication problem, because not that it's tragic what happened with the girl. But if you live in Florida, you should understand the rules. And the rules are that if there's a fresh body of water and it's bigger than a puddle, there could be an alligator in it. And if you're if you're hiking in a national forest or a national wilderness or a park where there's a river, there's probably going to be a friggin' big alligator in there. And you shouldn't be close to the shoreline, and you certainly shouldn't be in 3 foot of water.
They don't go into salt water, do they?
They do. Yeah, they'll be in salt water. We'll find them in the ocean every once in a while, but that's rare. But they go in the canals. They don't like the canals, but they'll be in the canals. And in Florida, there's a large amount of what they call brackish water, meaning where the ocean or the intercoastal waterway or the Gulf kind of gets in the stuff. So there's a lot of like partially salt, partially fresh water. So there's an alligator somewhere. I'm telling you. Like the retention ponds, like the kind you would think that they might have down the highway. You're going down 95 and you see the big retention pond. There's an alligator in there somewhere. You can just admit to it. If you're on a golf course and there's a pond, there's an alligator in there somewhere. You can almost guarantee it. It may not be big because it's in the golf course, and if it got big, it'd probably be out, but it could be traveling through. And they walk among ponds, for mating or whatever. But the reality is if you're in a river in Florida, you can almost assume that there's going to be an alligator somewhere close by. And this gal tragically lost her life in a very bad way. And everybody's saying, well, maybe Florida wildlife should have made more notices. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know how you can warn against everything, but I was thinking about your platform, Terry, and government agencies in whatever area they were in can certainly use your platforms in one way, shape, or form for reminding people that, hey, wildlife is wildlife, and they don't follow the rules, and they may not be reading this website, but you are, so you better take care of it. So whether you're the mountain lion in Colorado, or whether you're an alligator, or whether you're a bull shark, or whatever it might be, I think these are the things that people could use your public access media network to bring awareness. And whether that might have made a difference in this situation.
It sounds like in Florida, you really can't go swimming in a swimming pool that you're not familiar with.
Correct. And I mean, you have to be really taking a chance if you're in Florida, especially if you're in a natural area. I mean, I've seen 10-foot alligators, and I'll share with you, there's nothing scarier than a 10-foot alligator in a fresh water where you can see him and he can see you. I mean, oh my God. And at night, if you shine spotlights, or a flashlight, it reflects off their eyes. I mean, there's nothing scarier than seeing something in the water just waiting to eat you. So there's a reason why there's no I say this playfully, but it's true. There's no stray dogs in Florida because I think the gators get them all. You might find a stray cat every once in a while, but you won't find a stray dog. And there's a reason for that. So I don't know how
they like to eat dogs. They don't like eating cats.
Well, the cats don't go near the water. Cats don't go near the water. Dogs
right.
Doping.
A dog will go up to a body of water to drink.
Dog will go up to the water, start licking it, and get eaten, no problem. Yeah, dogs don't know the difference. But my main point is this. There's got to be a way to send that message out about alligators in Florida or, snakes and wherever it might be or whatever to people that might be either passing through or unfamiliar or just dumb. And
was she a resident of Florida or no?
Yes, she should have known better. She should have known better. And not to make her the victim because she was the one who literally got eaten alive by an alligator.
Yeah.
But they should have known better. So they took a chance. They're young kids. She was 31. Her boyfriend is around the same age.
That's not young. That's an adult.
Right. She should have known better. And you just don't do that. Now, maybe that's me being a little bit more cautious, and maybe if I was a Florida man and I was raised here, some Florida guy's going to say, this guy's over conservative or a little bit like we've been swimming in the canals or the rivers forever. I'm like,
yeah, but all it takes is one. All it takes is one. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Well, it does. Dogs
happens all the time.
All the time.
Happens all the time.
You're taking Fluffy out for a walk, and that alligator sees that little animal. Maybe it won't go after that human, but it'll go after that little dog. Right?
And yeah, absolutely. And I'll share with you, there is nothing more horrifying than hearing an alligator growl. I mean, it is like literally like Jurassic Park when you hear one growl. And
really?
it's different if you're at alligator land where you're seeing them and they're feeding them and you're behind the fence. But when you're in your backyard and you hear
and they're hungry.
growl and they're hungry or they're mating or they're protecting, you'll just like, whoa. So how can public access media network help in that regard? Bulletins, conversations, all of that stuff.
It's kind of a thing that where do you place that warning? That's like a public service warning that probably should rotate through a banner that, public service announcements that everybody should see,
Right.
And
so where should it go? Literally anywhere.
And that would be one that would be like a permanent. There used to be the ad council would run ads, would give out ads that were meant to run for free. If you didn't have all of your advertising sold, you would go to the ad council and they'd give you a banner or whatever you wanted ad resources to utilize through these nonprofit, just like this, the Smokey the Bear ad, or, I'm dating myself, but, that's the same kind of thing. Watch out for forest fires is the same warning, watch out for alligators. Right? So,
yeah, and where can it be? The answer is wherever people are reading anything.
Yeah.
And
so anyway, in Florida, that gives me an idea that when we're not selling our ad space, when we haven't sold our ad space, I need to reconnect with the ad council in each state to see what ad services can fit that mold, because those public warnings, not just within the category itself, but throughout the project in the community, that those public service ads, where the advertising or where the sponsor hasn't been sold or isn't, or even some of the sponsors could sponsor some of these public service ads, which would certainly be, part of their public service mission. I mean, we're looking for sponsors, not just for their advertising. We're offering them a way to connect with their community that they're not doing now, which is in a public service way. When they're sponsoring our pages, whether it be government or politics or arts or education or whatever it might be, that a sponsor comes in and helps mold the or helps play or pay for the content that we put up and the services. We're giving them an opportunity to say, hey, we do something for the community, and here it is up front. We sponsor the news in your community, and we do it through the Public Access Media Network and the town bulletin or the local town news, whatever it might be. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I always like to use some real-life examples of how your product is going to be of service to the communities everywhere. So
well, we just talked about one for the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mentioned. Yeah.
But there are many. I was in getting because I've only got one developer right now. I've got a very thin budget at this point. I made some mistakes in the process of building this. We both know that. It's the nature of the beast. I came into this way earlier than AI came in, and although AI is now making my job easier and a hell of a lot more professional, I came late to it in the development process. I had already thought this out before AI came on board. And now Claude just released this Fable 5. Have you seen that?
No, I think you sent me something on that. I have not seen that yet.
It's another level up from, the 4.8 that they had, which was since November they've been continually updating, or they've been doing it for years, but really November, ChatGPT and Anthropic took a leap of professionalism that has only been continuing in the last 6 months, but it's remarkable the development resources that are available to me, and to anyone really who has a dream. It's now this is not something that I'm coming up with. This is fact that many feel that this is now the dreamer's time. If you have a concept and an idea that has value, your potential to create that application through AI is, it would take you weeks to do some of the things that Claude does in minutes. Of course, it's still not perfect. You have to read everything that's going on. And I read a paper the other day that coders aren't coding anymore. What they're doing really is reviewing code that Claude creates, looking for the mistakes. And there are many. It's not perfect, just like coding is not perfect. And it's aggravating people because now they're really glorified readers rather than production people, because Claude is able to, from the resources that it is put into its large language model and the tools that have been created from it, it'll do it all for yourself. Do it all yourself. My next moves are really now in the marketing area, getting those organizations within the community that we're doing our beta, getting them on board and getting the ball rolling and moving. And once we reach a point, we can start to broaden it from one congressional district to many. How many, I don't know I can handle, but it's going to be a learning experience and a growth problem. We know that from experience that you can get in your own way if you create a big enough problem. And a problem can be something that's good, but it's still a problem. It has to be solved. Growth is not an easy task to manage, so we're going to do the best we can, and all of this is part of that. And we've been talking about it for the last year. I think it's now finally coming into focus. It was a lot of back end work, and we still have. Well, although we've got a lot of back-end work to do, there also is some front-end things that we also need to do, and we'll get there. Right now, the public, if they would go to PAM, publicaccessmedia.network, and register in and send us an email and let us know you're there and you want to help, You don't have to have money to help. You can do things that like spread the word in the community, help us identify resources within the communities that you're in. Let us know from what you see, what you think of it, and how you could make it better. I don't have all the answers. We know that. I'm still learning. So the audience now, it's kind of, we're front and center. You can go to local town news and do the same, and that will bring you to your town news. Let us know what you see. Let us know what you think. Where can we make this better? It's going to be very simple to start, but we're building through ideas, and if you can give us your ideas, we'll implement them alongside with what we have already planned. And if what we planned isn't right, you're going to tell us. So, this is your journey too, right?
Absolutely. So people would go to publicaccessmedia.network. And .network is a domain name extension. A lot of people don't know that, just like a .com or a .net or a .org, just like .news is. If you go to publicaccessmedia.network, he calls it PAM, then you'll be able to go sign up and take a test drive and all that sort of stuff as well. And previous to this, we mentioned localtown.news, and you'll see a little bit more about some of this stuff as we work this through. So it looks like we're on track for having a really great launch within the next month or so. So I'm looking forward to this, and as many people as we can possibly help get started, and maybe even save some people's lives in the process of this, because I think through public awareness,
I've heard
real.
of dogs being caught up by alligators, but I've never heard, or at least not very often, would you hear about a person being attacked. That's really too bad.
Or killed. I think I did some research on this. One of the AI programs said from 1948, there's been 32 fatalities that at least have been reported, probably a little bit more than that it might have happened, and then a couple hundred bites. But still, if you've ever seen a 13-foot reptile before in the shape of an alligator, you knew you wouldn't want to go anywhere near it. Those things are just mean and vicious, and they get.
I'm surprised that number is so low, to tell you the truth.
I know. It might be an underreported number. It might be an underreported number. I know. One day, a very short story. My real estate agent, Mary Ann. She's probably still alive, but she wanted me to buy a house when I came down here from Illinois. I was like, Mary Ann, I'm a little bit concerned. I got young kids. I live on the back of a forest preserve. So if there's going to be an alligator there somewhere, there's going to be an alligator there. And I said, Mary Ann, I'm really kind of concerned. I'm bringing young kids down here, and I don't know the area, and we're sitting right on the back of a forest preserve. I'm a little bit concerned about alligators. And she said to me, oh, I've never seen an alligator. I've been down here for 20 years. I've never seen an alligator. So I kind of like, okay. Well, after I bought my house, I flew down just to buy the house, and I had to fly back. And she says, well, let me take you to lunch. Come over to my house. We'll have some lunch. And she lived on the back of a golf course. And I'm like, Mary Ann, there's an alligator right in your backyard. She's like, oh, yeah, we feed him all the time. I'm like, oh, my God. You'd do anything to sell a house. You'd do anything to sell a house. But, you got to be aware of your surroundings. I mean, we've had, obviously, sharks and stuff like that. And, Daytona Beach or Ormond Beach is the shark capital of the world. Actually, New Smyrna Beach is the shark capital bite of the world. So, I mean, if you're going to live near wildlife, you're going to live near wildlife. But the most important thing is you got to be aware of your surroundings so you minimize the accidents you can have. And, Terry, I'm serious when I'm saying that you can run public service announcement, people can see it, and it might just be the one time that she sees something where she's going to go out hiking tomorrow, and she just sees it on publicaccessmedia.network, and then, or, somewhere else, and she says, you know what, I remember seeing something like that. We're not going to swim in the river today, and it could save someone's life. You'll never know it, because it's not like she writes your note.
I'm
surprised.
Here's a thought. I'm surprised that there isn't a person like a radio announcer. Maybe that's because there's no radio anymore. There aren't disc jockeys and personalities on the radio. When I was growing up, every morning everybody listened to Bob Steele. Bob was this kind of, cajole. He'd tell hokey stories, and there'd be different types of music, and he really dragged you into his world. And it was, you maybe only had 15 minutes as you were walking out the door, but you could turn on Bob Steele and get a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like a joke or, that kind of thing. And these guys, the ad, I can remember one particular guy. He was a car dealer, and his catchphrase was, "Never knowingly undersold." And he drummed that into everybody who would listen to any one of his commercials. And he was in his car dealership, I think he was a Chevy or something, I'm not sure, but it was it was on Route 5, and it was a big deal when there was no highway. The highways were built in the 60s. I don't know what route goes through your jurisdiction, like 95 and 95 Route 90 and
95 is the big one.
Yeah, well, that's the interstate commerce system that was built under Eisenhower. And how that came to be was he saw how the roads were built. The Autobahn was built in Germany after the war, and he brought that technology back when he became president. He created the interstate highway system, which we all kind of take for granted today. But, those bridges and overhangs or whatever the hell they call them, they're all new. They're all built within, my lifetime. I was a child, but I can remember going down Route 5 because 91 was not yet built. And it was a big deal when the bridge was built from 95 over the river to go to Route 5 from 91 down by South Windsor, which is near East Hartford, which is where my grandparents lived. It was like an event, and that bridge was so important. And, all of that went into place about 80 years ago. Less than that, 70. Because Eisenhower was when 54 to 60.
It was before my time,
I think so. He was in for 2 terms, and that would mean 52 or 53, and to 60 when Kennedy came in. Right?
Yep.
Anyway,
the important thing is those public
really what we're building now
are gone. They're not doing that anymore.
What we're building now, and this comes up in a lot of the AI discussion about what it is I'm doing. I'm building infrastructure. I'm not building social media. I'm building infrastructure where the existing mechanisms of community can communicate in a way that they were unable to do it in the past. That's infrastructure, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yep.
This is good stuff.
It is good stuff. It is good stuff. Well, we're coming up to our 250th birthday as a country, I suppose, and platform.
And we have and we're at our worst in my lifetime. It's unfortunate, but out of ash we build new things. So I think, and you're seeing it in ways where the Democrats the old line moderate Democrats are losing to progressives who are saying we can do it better and we're younger and we're willing to put in the time and the energy to make it happen and put the voice to it, because that's what you have to do. Nothing happens without voice. And that's another thing that Pam will be providing, is a place for that voice to be heard. And people that, if you don't show up to vote, you got no reason to be able to complain about anything, because you're not contributing to the answer or the problem. If you voted for whoever it is you voted and you got what you got, I unfortunately can hold my head up and say I know I knew what I was going to be voting for, and I didn't go that way. And we all have 2020, or anyway. See, we can't see the path. Anyway. It gets me aggravated. I just can't wait for the midterms. It's going to be some show. That's the other thing. I'm reaching out to the DNC now and the RNC with a proposal on, and Frank is working on those pages, getting them up in a rudimentary way, at least enough to say they're there, we have them, this is the functionality. How do you want to partner with us? Become a sponsor of the Republican Party News, well, you're not really journalism. Journalism is keeping the record of the community, whether it's given by the source itself, which is where you would get it. What we offer is a way to communicate with what they're trying to do on face value. We have a voice now to communicate with them directly, and the Internet offers that. It's always offered it, but it took somebody like this or something like this to be able to put some real organization to it. And as I said, this is infrastructure, not social media. Social infrastructure. That's what we provide. The school board meeting, the town council meeting. Now, you can get them on peg channels, but there's no real uniform to that, and that's what we provide in a broad sense, while we're providing entertainment, while we're providing public services, while we're providing connection. We're developing the infrastructure for providing services through the Internet to the community. Right?
Excellent. Yep, absolutely. Well, it's going to be ready before the elections, right in time for that.
Yeah. Well, did you see that now? You can spend all the money you want, doesn't matter, on any candidate, any which way you want to. Go ahead. Did you see that one?
Yep. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's so sure. I agree with it.
This is where they wanted to take Citizen United. They wanted no controls, foot on the gas. He who's got money buys the election, and or has the ability to. I think that's going to backfire in a lot of scenarios. You're seeing it right now in Texas. This Tallarico guy, he's a divinity student, lawyer, I think, also. Well-spoken, Democrat, moderate. He's meeting them where they live, which is a faith-based knowledge, and but a penchant for doing good within the community rather than letting I'll tell you, Trump has been the worst thing for the Republican Party. I mean, he may think he's doing a justice to it, that there's no other way that they're going to be able to succeed unless they, get the voters that are tricking the system, which is not true. He's just making for a bad story for the Republican Party. And I don't see them coming out of this for a couple of or at least a generation. And I'll tell you another thing too. I think that the Democrats are just as guilty. The unguarded support for Israel is over. What they've done in this last little bit of a war, and also the business with the Palestinians, and the way Trump bullied universities into scaring the public about Muslims, and the way that this is all community. They have as much right as a Catholic or a Protestant to worship however the hell they want in this country. And their ideology or their culture, which is what it is. I grew up. I'm an Irishman, Terry Kelliher. Obviously, I'm an Irish Catholic. Okay, my grandmother, when I started going to a congregational church, she gasped that I would always be a Catholic, and she's right. She's right. I mean, it's really just a part of my youth. I was confirmed, and I will always be a Catholic. And I'll tell you, the Pope now that they have, he's a stand-up guy, and I'm very proud to have been a Catholic. I'm not now, but I was ashamed for many years because of the pedophilia and homosexual, nonsense that was under the rug for so many years, but yet so blatant. It was a real character problem. Just as the Republican Party is going to have living down the wreckage from this president,
Yep, I hear you.
And it's unfortunate if the audience disagrees with me. I'm sorry. I didn't play this guy. I thought he was trouble the first time, and then at least he had people around him who knew that you couldn't, go as far as he's been able to go in the last 18 months.
He's not what a lot of people voted for sure. But we'll leave that alone. And I'm going to say, Terry Kelliher, thanks for a great radio show.
Yeah, it was a nice, it was a good conversation tonight.
Yep. So we're going to
do
our exit.
And
have a happy 4th. So for those people listening in, check them out. Publicaccessmedia.network, and we'll catch you everybody next week. Thanks.
Yep.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Building Fortunes Radio is part of the Humongous AM and Humongous FM radio network. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website to listen to your favorite shows. You can also hear us on Humongous Radio and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for.